CM Punk said it. He actually said it. In front of millions of people, live television, cameras rolling, the whole world watching, CM Punk stood in the middle of that ring, opened his mouth, and disrespected a man who was not here to defend himself. A man who was loved. A man who was family. A man who built the very foundation that Roman Reigns, The Rock, and every single member of the Bloodline stands on today. And you know what? The Bloodline heard every single word. Every single word. So if you thought what happened next was brutal, if you thought the attack was vicious, if you thought The Rock looked like he wanted to end CM Punk's career right there on that canvas, just wait until I break down exactly what went down, why it happened, and why this is only the beginning. Drop a comment right now, just the word disrespect, if you think CM Punk had absolutely no business going there. Because what I'm about to show you, this isn't just wrestling drama. This is a family protecting their bloodline. Let's get into it. Segment 1, setting the scene. To understand why the Bloodline completely lost it, you have to understand the history. You have to understand what CM Punk actually said, and more importantly, who he said it about. Now, for those of you just catching up, here's the full picture. Tensions between CM Punk and the Bloodline have been building for months. This isn't new. The back and forth jabs, the promos, the little snide comments Punk has been dropping, it's been escalating steadily. Punk is the master of getting under people's skin. That's his gift. That's what he's always done. He finds the one nerve nobody wants touched, and he presses on it until the whole thing explodes. But even by CM Punk's standards, even knowing who this man is and what he's capable of saying, nobody expected him to go there. Nobody expected him to bring up the late Sika Anoa'i. Nobody expected him to weaponize grief. The mention of the Anoa'i family's loss, invoking the name of someone they buried, someone they mourn, someone whose legacy they carry on their backs every single time they step foot in a WWE ring, that was the match that lit the gasoline. And the explosion? Oh, we're going to talk about that in full detail. But first, let's talk about why this is so personal. Why this isn't just a wrestling storyline. Why the reaction from The Rock and Roman was so raw, so real, so violent that even hardened wrestling fans felt genuinely uncomfortable watching it unfold. Segment 2, the Anoa'i legacy. You cannot talk about the Bloodline without talking about where they come from. The Anoa'i family is not just a wrestling family. They are wrestling royalty. They are one of the most decorated, most respected, most generational dynasties in the entire history of professional wrestling. We are talking about a family that has given this industry legends, plural, icons, Hall of Famers, champions across multiple decades, multiple promotions, multiple generations. Sika Anoa'i, the patriarch, the foundation, the man CM Punk chose to invoke, was a tag team legend. One half of the Wild Samoans, alongside his brother Alpha. Two-time WWF World Tag Team Champions. Legitimately feared, legitimately respected. A man who didn't just wrestle, he built things. He trained wrestlers. He raised warriors. And most importantly, he raised Roman Reigns. He raised a family that bleeds this business. So when CM Punk, who, let's be honest, has made a career out of saying what nobody else will say, sometimes brilliantly, sometimes recklessly, when Punk decides to take a shot at that legacy, to use that grief as ammunition in a promo war, he didn't just cross a line, he detonated a bomb. And The Rock? Roman Reigns? Solo Sikoa? The entire Bloodline unit? They were done playing games. Segment 3, the moment it all broke loose. Let me paint this picture for you, because the visual matters. CM Punk is in the ring, microphone in hand. That signature smirk on his face, the one that says he knows exactly what he's doing, and he doesn't care what it costs him. He's doing what CM Punk does. He's cutting a promo. He's drawing heat. He's building heat methodically, the way only a 20-year veteran knows how to do. And then he says it. The crowd goes quiet. Not pop quiet. Not boo quiet. Uncomfortable quiet. The kind of silence that fills a 20,000-seat arena when something real just happened. When the line between performance and genuine human emotion just got blurred in the worst possible way. Backstage? The Bloodline doesn't even need to discuss it. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the man who has carried that title of family honor for years, is already moving. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, a man who has been very selective about when he shows up, when he engages, when he throws his weight into a feud. The Rock is already moving. And when both of those men are moving toward the same target at the same time, God help whoever that target is. Segment 4, the attack. What unfolded was one of the most visceral, most emotionally charged beatdowns we have seen in recent WWE history, and I say that as someone who has watched this business for a very long time. It wasn't choreographed feeling. It wasn't your standard storyline beatdown where everyone hits their spots and rolls out. This felt different. The body language was different. The energy in the building was different. The crowd, which is usually split on the Bloodline depending on the night and the feud, was almost unified in a kind of stunned silence meets eruption. Roman Reigns went straight for Punk with zero hesitation. No monologue. No posturing. Roman didn't talk. Roman moved. And if you know Roman's character, the slow burn, the deliberate menace, the chess player who always speaks before he acts, that departure from character told you everything. This wasn't business. This was personal. The Rock's involvement was even more unnerving, because The Rock has this ability, this rare, extraordinary ability to make everything feel enormous just by being present. When the final boss walks down that ramp with that look on his face, the temperature in the whole building drops 3 degrees, and the look on The Rock's face during this segment was not the showman, it was not the movie star, it was not the charismatic, eyebrow-raising entertainer we've all grown up loving, it was the Anoa heir. It was a nephew defending his uncle's name. Together, The Rock and Roman Reigns dismantled CM Punk. There's really no other word for it. It was methodical once it started, and it was relentless. Solo Sikoa providing the muscle, the numbers game making escape impossible, and Punk, to his credit, fighting back, because that's what Punk does, that's who Punk is, but being completely overwhelmed. The message was sent. Loudly, clearly, and without any ambiguity at all. Segment 5: The Aftermath and Reaction. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Ring Rumble One family, because the internet absolutely exploded after this. And it went both ways. Half the wrestling world was firmly on the Bloodline side. Comments flooding in saying Punk deserved every second of it. That you don't bring up dead family members. That there is an unwritten code in wrestling, unwritten but universally understood, and Punk shattered it. That the response was not only justified, it was necessary. That a family protecting their honor isn't a heel move, it's a human move. The other half? Screaming about CM Punk being the greatest promo in the business. Defending his right to say whatever he needs to say to get the best out of a feud. Calling it brilliant heel work or brilliant face work, depending on how you read the room. Arguing that if you can't handle the fire, don't stand in the kitchen. But here's my take, and I want to know your take in the comments, so please, after you hear this, tell me if you agree or disagree. There's a difference between edgy and evil. There's a difference between pushing buttons and burning bridges that have nothing to do with the game being played. CM Punk is a genius in that ring. On that microphone, the man is an all-timer. Full stop. No debate. His ability to connect, to provoke, to craft a narrative in real time is second to almost nobody who has ever held a mic in this business. But genius without restraint becomes recklessness. And recklessness, when it involves the memory of someone's deceased family member, stops being a wrestling promo and starts being something else entirely. The Bloodline didn't just snap because of storyline heat. They snapped because they're human. Segment 6: What this means going forward. Now let's talk about the chessboard, because this story is far from over. If you think this attack is the end of this rivalry, I need you to zoom out and look at what's actually being constructed here. CM Punk does not back down. This is a man who returned from a torn tricep. A man who came back to WWE after over a decade away and immediately inserted himself back into main event conversations like he never left. A man who thrives in chaos, who feeds on being the most hated or most loved person in any room he walks into. An attack from the Bloodline doesn't end CM Punk's involvement in this, it accelerates it. Because now Punk has his reason. Now Punk can come back with moral ammunition. The Bloodline jumped him. The Bloodline ambushed him, multiple on one, because of words. Because of a promo. And while we all agree those words were wrong, while we all understand why the Bloodline reacted, the WWE audience is going to see a man who stood alone against an army. And history tells us audiences eventually rally behind that man. The Rock's involvement also raises the stakes astronomically. Dwayne Johnson does not fly in for minor angles. The Rock shows up when something big is being built. His presence in this attack signals that this feud is being elevated to a level that very few WWE storylines reach. We could be looking at a WrestleMania confrontation. We could be looking at the most personal, most emotionally loaded program the WWE has put together in years. And if that's where this is going, buckle up. Because what we've seen so far is just the opening chapter. Segment 7: The Bigger Picture. Let me give you the bigger picture for a second, because I think it's worth stepping back from the immediate heat of this story and thinking about what WWE is actually doing here. The Bloodline saga has been, and I will die on this hill, one of the greatest long-term wrestling storylines of the modern era. Maybe of any era. Roman Reigns' transformation into the tribal chief. The way the faction was built. The internal tensions. The betrayals. The reconciliations. The layers upon layers of family drama wrapped inside professional wrestling drama. This is Shakespearean, and I mean that literally. Themes of loyalty and betrayal. Themes of legacy and inheritance. Themes of what we owe our family versus what we owe ourselves. These are not lightweight story beats. These are deep human themes executed inside the context of sports entertainment, and the audience has responded accordingly. CM Punk's insertion into this world, particularly through an attack on their family legacy, is a masterstroke of storytelling. Whether Punk is positioned as the villain who crossed the line or the anti-hero who said the unsayable, the result is the same: investment. Massive, furious, passionate investment from the audience. People who haven't watched WWE in months are talking about this. People who don't even watch wrestling are talking about this. That is how you know something special is happening. Closing call to action. So here's where I land on all of this, and I'll keep it simple. CM Punk made a choice. A dangerous choice. A choice that crossed a line that even the most hardened pro wrestling veterans consider sacred. And the Bloodline responded the way any family would respond when someone desecrates the memory of someone they love. Was the beatdown brutal? Yes. Was it warranted? You tell me in the comments. Was this the most compelling piece of wrestling television we've seen in a long time? Absolutely. Without question. The Rock is in. Roman is furious. CM Punk is battered but not broken. And this story is building towards something that could redefine what WWE is capable of in this era. I need you to do 3 things for me right now. 1. Drop a comment. Tell me whose side you're on. The Bloodline for protecting their family honor, or CM Punk for saying what nobody else would say. I read every single comment, and this is one I genuinely want to hear from all of you on. 2. Share this video. If you've got a friend who's a wrestling fan, send this to them right now. This story deserves the widest possible audience because it is legitimately one of the best things happening in wrestling today. 3. Subscribe to Ring Rumble 1 if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. Because I promise you, as this story develops, we are going to be right here breaking down every single move, every single promo, every single twist with the depth and passion that this storyline deserves. The Bloodline drew a line.